Hello, my dear friends. On this seventh Sunday of Ordinary Time, you see what are the readings say. In the first reading taken from the first book of Samuel, chapter 26, we see that in this first book of Samuel, there are two episodes of places where David spares the life of King Saul. The first one is in chapter 24, and then this one in chapter 26. Both of the episodes indicate one attractive feature of the personality of David, his generosity of the spirit. So the king is pursuing David with about 3,000 men, but David is just alone with his God and his companion Abishai. Yet David was able to penetrate the camp of armed people without being noticed, which indicates really that God was with David. That's saying which says one with God is majority. We can see it here with David. The deep sleep, that David found Saul sleeping here is not just an ordinary sleep of fatigue. It is kind of that a sleep which God casted upon Adam when he was trying to remove his rib to create Adam's companion Eve. David shows us here that revenge is in the hands of God when he says, I will not touch the Lord's anointed. David was favored by God, but he did not profit of that grace, of that favor, in order to gain his selfish interests. What is the gospel saying? Our today's gospel is taken from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 6, from verse 27 to 38. In this gospel, Jesus continues with the second version, the second part of the Sermon on the Mountain. Today's section is focused more on the command of love, especially the love of our enemies. This is one of the most demanding and one of the most difficult parts of the gospel because we are called to do exactly what the opposite or the contrast of what people do to us. They do in a negative way, but we are called to do with them in a very positive way, to show love to those who hate us. Here, Jesus is talking about the general love for others. What St. Thomas of Aquinas called seeking the good of others. The golden rule, as indicated here, already have its own negative version in the Old Testament, in the book of Tobit, chapter 4, verse 15. And also in the document, the Didache, chapter 1, it says, what is hateful to you, do not do to others. And Jesus instructs us that if we do everything normally as those who do not adhere to the Christian faith do, there is nothing extraordinary about that. That our works must surpass others. That modeling our love after the love of God, we should be able to go extra mile, but in a positive way. The golden rule is accompanied by the rule of reciprocity. And here there are three types of reciprocity that we talk about. The first one is the general reciprocity, that is doing good without expecting anything at all in return. And then the second one is the balanced reciprocity, that of doing to others exactly what they did to us, like uh, borrowing money and then receiving back the same amount, or rendering service because a service was rendered to us. Then the final one is a negative reciprocity, that is taking advantage of people, especially those who have no one to defend them in whatever they are doing. My dear friends, I think we all seek that balanced reciprocity. In fact, a general one of giving to others without expecting in return. Jesus speaks here to a culture where people attach labels or names or titles to others. For example, they call them tax collectors, a sinner, the woman of the city, the prostitute, the Samaritan. These were the titles attached to people, and that really prevented a good flow of a social interaction because of who these people are perceived to be by the society. There is an ancient adage which says, stick and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Even in our world today, we have names that we do call people. We attribute them titles, which really facilitates the idea of pushing them away from us. A negative status. It doesn't matter if that status defines the people we call them or not. God alone reads hearts and knows who is truly honoring him. In the second reading from the First Corinthians chapter 15 from verse 45 to 49, in this section, St. Paul continues to respond to the pastoral issue arising about the resurrection of the body. In the previous verses of this chapter 15, Paul responded to the question, how is the resurrected body going to look like? And here he's responding to that part of the question, if really that resurrected body exists. And Paul contrasts the ordinary human body with the resurrected body of Christ by drawing the distinction between the first Adam and the second Adam. The first Adam, who is our ancestor, and the second Adam, who is Jesus. That when God breathed into the first Adam, he became a living being, but he was subject to death. But the second Adam, Jesus, has the breath of a living soul. The difference here is that Adam received life